Our entire universe and all other universes are contained within the one God Self. And they are His manifestation, because God alone is real. There is a saying that there is only the one infinite God playing the game of many. If we go back in time, if we go back in creation, if we go all the way back, we will see that everything came from the one. Everything is the one, couldn't be otherwise. And the one is experiencing himself through the appearance, manifested appearance of many. First, we will take a little scientific exploration with the analogy of the ripples, waves on the sea, on the ocean. When there is no wind, the ocean is calm and steady as one mass. But when the wind picks up, then we notice the waves, the ripples. We notice the boats start to swing, and the surfers get their surfing boards out. Everything changes. Now there are waves of different sizes, intensities. Sometimes we even get a tsunami, then everybody runs away. There is a saying that it is at the bottom of the ocean that we find the stillness and nature of God. But from scientific perspective, what do we really find at the bottom of the ocean? We find a very pressurized water, same like at the surface, just much more pressurized. And we find the bedrock. And what are those made of? The water is made of atoms, and so is the bedrock itself, made of the same atoms. Everything in creation, in this biophysical universe, is made of literally the same building blocks, like Lego. Lego is all plastic. No matter what figurines you put together, all made from the same thing. And our universe is made of atoms that puts everything together in different forms and shapes into great amount of multiplicity. Interestingly, at the atomic level, we find that everything moves in a spherical motion. But then as we rise up to the level of creation, of forms, we find a myriad of different combinations. But as we scale higher to the planetary solar system level, we find again the same spherical motion. Solar systems, planets, galaxies, they again inhabit the same principle of spherical motion. The atom itself is made of a wave frequency, and that wave or frequency is actually sound. So thus we come to understand that all matter, every form and shape, whether it's a planet or a human being or a rock, is made of waves, frequency, sound. The whole universe is thus named as Universe, one song. And God is singing. God is a great musician, a master director who decided to sing a song called our universe. This is where we have to completely step away from human nature, because we are just a bunch of atoms which are made of frequencies, which is sound. Human perspective here doesn't make sense. Thus we find that all creation is a song, and there are many songs, and the principle of motion is the spirit. Thus it is the divine stream that in motion is all of creation. Therefore, using mantras is a beautiful way to tune into the deeper layers of the song of the creation and the one. And as we trace it all the way back, we will find that from the infinite light of the divine source, there came an impulse of motion, which is the spirit. There arose a primordial sound, Shabd, and through that impulse and primordial sound, emanations and later creations start to come forth. Now science agrees to all of this to a certain extent, as far as scientific instruments can detect. That's how it all works. Now, how does it make sense for us in a practical way? For these faraway creatures called human beings, lost in duality, in the vastness of creation. What the heck is going on? What shall we do with all of this? In a practical sense, the experience of the one is natural, first of all. The experience of the One is effortless, always present. To get to that point, we undergo a process of deconditioning and unwinding our attention from paying too much of attention to the distortions. Attention is a powerful tool. It directs. It is how we connect with energy, with frequency, with the spirit. When attention is rough, it's like a beginner musician who picks up an instrument and they don't know how to play it, but they want to play it, and they just... Or a drummer who begins to learn how to drum. It's a chaos. When attention is gross, it is very scattered and it's focused on a very low, gross substances. It has no power. It's completely locked into low state of matter, into the low state of creation. Typically objects, solid objects. In that sense, all of you are a great musicians, but your tool is your attention. And as you go through the process of deconditioning, your attention expands, softens, relaxes, at the same time becomes more sharp and clear, and it picks up on more subtle frequencies, regions of creation. When you attain mastery over your attention, the idea of duality becomes absurd. The sense of separation or individual I is also recognized as illusory, because attention is partially still locked in. But arriving to full consciousness, you already know that you are not the locked in frequency. You are not a locked in sense of I, myself, or separation. You already know who you really are as the open, boundless self, as the background for the song. You're the silence for the music. You are the screen for the movie. You are the self for the frequency and attention. So a distinct indication of full consciousness is recognizing who you really are, becoming clear about that. The degree of mastery varies again greatly. Many people still come back to the individual sense, but at a deeper level, there is a clarity and there is accessibility to the openness of the self. There is a recognition that I am that. And thus, in a practical way, you become like an actor which can act in the world of duality. And the actor, again, the highest level of actor is the one who is completely natural at it, who can take on a role and be completely natural within that role. So in the same way, in a practical way of the one and the many, you are the actor who is naturally behaving as myself in creation, but who knows that I'm not this persona only, that I'm not this body only. Because the actor knows that when 9 to 5 finishes at 5 o'clock, whenever the daily schedule finishes, they go back to real life. And the same thing, when you come to full consciousness, you can be completely okay being a person in the world of duality, continuing to heal yourself, continuing to master your attention and its resonance. But at the same time, you know that at a deeper level, it's all fine. Because you're not energy, you're not attention, you're not a feeling of I, myself. That is at the surface. So therefore, people tend to assume, and in some books it is promoted in Advaita books, that in other spiritual texts, that when you realize the one, that's it. Your personal self will vanish into the nothingness, and you no longer exist as a person. And they don't explain how you will function anymore. Nobody explains how you will function. How come they didn't cover the full FAQ section there? Well, because probably the ones who wrote are either in a stage of idealizing everything, which most of them are. They're not speaking from a true experience and a practical experience. They're leaving out a lot of parts. Or sometimes, rarely, these books are written by some sages who live a particular life, being completely immersed in that experience, also being not that functional in the world. Some of these immersions, now these are the deeper degrees of the self. So a practical degree of the self is that I know I am that. I'm clear about that. And when I relax and center and come into balance, it's right here. It's always here, it's right here. When the energy is balanced at every level, you come back to that experience of the self. It's available and it's open. This is a beginning of full consciousness.